But speaking of players, we're going to start off with the 23-man roster that opens the season this year.
Sure.
So the forwards. And we're just going to run through these because we're shooting this, another one that's late at night, and it'll come out.
The Guardians game. Damn me for being it's my fault as usual.
And this is gonna go up on Wednesday and what have you. So gear up. So starting with the forwards, we got number 7, Sean Corelli.
Yep.
Number 13, Johnny Hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
that felt so weird. Because when you said number 13, my brain just instinctually said Cam Atkinson.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's going to take some getting used to.
I don't know why I'm used to saying it, but I'm not going to be used to seeing it for a while. Does that make sense?
It's going to take about half the season, and then it's just going to be like cognitively okay after that. Like it'll go away.
I think after Christmas, when I finally get my jersey, it's going to be like, okay, now we're here.
Right. Yeah.
Because you have yours, and yet you're still
I have mine. I still need the opportunity to wear it at a game. And
we need to meet up and do that shit.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we need to I don't know, we need to visit Mike together and say hi and
that would be a big part
that kind of
to see him and saying hi to him, and hopefully we can get him on in relative short order, maybe a month into the season, just to talk about
for this year and just to shoot the shit again. Like that'd be fun. So Johnny's gonna be the draw, of course, this year.
He shot up season ticket numbers just instantly when he signed. So
that's like the next day it was like boom.
Is just not just watching it, but just the buzz. You're gonna see more people in the building on a nightly basis.
Mm-hmm. And our bar's gonna be packed.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not gonna get in,
right?
Like you normally would. Anyway, moving on. Number 14, Gus Nyquist.
Mm-hmm.
Which, good to see Gus still with us for now.
Yeah.
Even though we thought he was going to be the cap casualty for Johnny, but
and it turned out that you probably would have been trading assets with him.
And I still miss Oliver.
Yeah.
God, I hope he's going to do well in Seattle this year. Number 17, Justin Danforth.
Mm-hmm.
The surprise for everybody out of camp, and I am so friggin' happy that this kid made it. Number 19, Liam Foudy.
A very, very pleasant surprise, as you mentioned, because we weren't really sure what to expect.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's a big sign. I mean, who knows? Perhaps this is the start of maybe him getting an opportunity. We'll have to see how the lineup shakes out for these first couple of games, see where he draws in, if he does draw in. But a good sign to start the season that he's with the team.
Yes, he is, we've belabored the point so much that he just never has actually gotten his shot to make the roster. And now he has. He looked really good in the preseason, apparently. Like, he was playing, mostly middle 6 minutes?
I'd imagine, because you're not loading up your lineup most nights, so I'd have to imagine that's probably where he was.
So, and we know that he's fast. We know he's got a decent shot.
Really, really fast, yeah.
He'd be a great addition, especially with sending down Kirill Marchenko. He would be a really nice fill-in on that third line.
Yeah. I don't expect that to last too long either with Marchenko.
Let's see how fast they call him up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 24, Matthew Olivier made it.
Yeah, we expected it. I gotta be honest with you. It's interesting to see how this goes for him because he's the guy that I just naturally know the least about.
Right.
So, we know what his game is, but I'm interested to see what other tools he brings to the table. Is he just a fighter? Is he just knock your teeth out kind of guy, or does he have a little bit of spunk to his game outside of that?
Right. Is he your new Jared Bull, or will he go out there and do a little bit more than that?
Yeah, it's a big question. And look, Jared Bull provided value for the Blue Jackets.
Absolutely, and he still does.
Definitely have value, especially at that price when you're making close to league min.
Right.
But I can't imagine that we'd trade a 4th-round pick if there wasn't a little bit something more to him.
Yeah, I definitely think Yarmo sees that he can do more.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, how old is he? Because
I think he's 24 or 25. He's somewhere in that range. And he was rendered obsolete with the Predators simply because of Tanner Jeannot.
Yes. So maybe he could be like a similar player to Jeannot for us in that way.
Hopefully. I mean, if we got Tanner Jeannot 2.0, I'd be thrilled.
If he's got a scoring touch, that's awesome.
I don't expect him to be nearly as good as that. But yeah, if he can, if he's at least playable, I don't want him just to be a fighter. I want him to be a guy that, we can afford to play this guy a little bit because he provides a little something extra.
Right. Obviously, number 29, Patty Laine.
Mm-hmm.
We know what he's going to do this year.
Yep.
We know what he's here to do.
Score a lot of goals.
A lot of them getting passes from Johnny Gaudreau.
Yes. He shoot puck, he score goal.
Number 34, Cole Sillinger. Silly season, baby.
Yeah, I mean, as expected.
I've loved this kid right off the bat. My dad loved this kid right off the bat.
Yeah, and it's a big question for him because he exceeded all of our expectations last year by just simply staying around.
By being the youngest player in the NHL.
Yeah. So what do you do in year 2? Are we going to see a little bit of that sophomore slump, or is he just going to keep progressing off of what he showed?
I think that out of all the young guys coming in, I think he's probably the most capable is not the right word, but susceptible maybe to a sophomore slump.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cole could regress this year.
And don't get me wrong, it happens. It's not always the worst thing. If you're regressing because you're bringing in a Kent Johnson and it knocks down your minutes, that's just natural. But
right,
be interesting to see.
Yeah, the captain, number 38, Boone Jenner.
Yeah, is he back and healthy, or
he's going to be good to go?
Good. That's what we'd like to hear.
As far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure both Portsy and Svoboda had that he was going to be all right to play.
Perfect.
I did love seeing Ellie's Instagram story, like of her at the season ticket holder night and getting a new autograph from Boone.
Oh yeah,
because like they've seen each other so much that he's always just like to my favorite person.
Yeah,
like something to that effect.
And he's been with the organization for over a decade, so I'd imagine for most athletes who've been with an organization for that long, they know several fans.
Well, when you meet a fan so often like Ellie has with Boone, you still you kind of do grow a bit of a rapport with that, right?
Yeah, even if it's just quick meetings, signing something, whatnot. It's natural.
It's like hey, I remember you.
It's kind of like I don't know. It's a weird comparison, but it's kind of like when you work retail and there's a customer who comes in kind of all the time.
Oh yeah, when you have regulars at a restaurant
a ton, you're just like, I know you.
Well, it's like when you have a regular at a restaurant that you know really well and can chat it up with or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like if you go to a bar and you have those bartenders that you really know.
Yeah, that too, for sure.
It's a weird kind of relationship, but it's kind of similar to that. Does that make sense?
Wholesome relationship.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's like, and I mean, maybe I just miss Ellie. I haven't seen her in ages.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in ages, man. Like, I don't know. I hope I get to see her this year. Just to say hi. Number 50, Eric Robinson, Johnny's best buddy.
Very fast.
Very fast. Again, Johnny's buddy.
Yep.
From friggin' high school.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Part of the reason why, I would think.
Yeah, maybe there's a bunch of reasons.
And we talked about, did you read Jeff's article this morning?
No.
It's the best thing Svoboda's ever written.
Really?
It's so wholesome and awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out after the show.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to read it. It's so nice. Number 59, the Yegor bomb, Yegor Chinakhov.
Arguably the best player in the preseason.
He led the
not just the
preseason in
Blue Jackets.
goals.
The league, like
He
legitimately
led the
best player in
preseason in
league.
goals with 6.
Yeah. I mean, talk about earning your spot. I think he kind of went from a guy who was maybe battling a little bit for his spot to, okay, forget about your spot on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
How do you not?
How do you take him out?
How do you? It's not even just taking him out, but I can't put him on the 4th line.
No.
I struggle to even think about him on the 3rd line. He's got to get a shot on line 2, don't you think?
Ooh, Jake with Yegor and Jack.
Yeah,
that would be a fun second line.
You got to give that a look, right?
Because Jake can play the left, right? Or because I know
he's more naturally on the right, but
right.
he can play the left if need be.
Have we ever tried Yegor on the left? I feel like they have.
We could. I mean, he's a young guy. I'm sure you could try it, but
that would be,
or even if you want to move Jake down the line and try him on line 3.
Could put Gus up there with those two.
There's things that you can do with it, but God, I know it's just preseason, but it does hold weight.
Well, because when we picked Yegor, it was such an off the board pick.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody,
everybody was like, "What the hell is this pick?
Like, who is this guy?"
And then he wins Rookie of the Year over in the KHL, and then he comes over and underwhelming at times, but flashes.
We knew he's fast. Sure. We knew he had a brilliant snipe.
But we weren't really sure what to expect this upcoming year, and now it's like, oh. Like,
we're going to see a lot of Jaeger bombs this year, I think. If this kid can explode for 20.
Yeah.
And
I think 20 is relatively realistic depending on how much time he gets, how many games he gets into, but
I didn't even mean to make that clever, but honestly, if he plays the way he did this preseason, we need to bring back the hashtag and we need to make it like a thing.
I think also just, on top of that, not even just regular line minutes, he's got to get at least a look on power play too.
Oh, he has to.
Get him on one of those units and get him a little bit of power play time and
get him on a half wall and because I definitely think that would be his spot, right? Be a bumper on the half wall.
Yeah, and get an opportunity to fire away from that side of the ice. Obviously, you're not going to have him on power play 1 because that's the spot that Gaudreau's got to play when you got Laine on the other side. But power play 2, put Jack in the middle, get Yegor on that bumper, and you can figure it out from there.
Yeah, and I mean, if you put Jake on PP2, like Jake would have options.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something for Lars to look at. But I'm so impressed with Yegor this preseason, and I really hope that translates.
Yeah, I hope it does too. I hope that, it might not be immediate, but I hope it carries over a little bit. And not even just in terms of the scoring, but it wasn't even just the goals. It was how he looked away from the puck that was significant. It was drastically different from last year. And that's what ultimately needs to continue, especially if he wants to continue scoring goals, because your play away from the puck is often what puts you in position to score goals.
Yeah, when you are able to just skate around and create the space for yourself, that's what helps more often than not, right?
Yeah, knowing when to apply pressure, knowing what spots to go to.
He's a decently big guy too, so he can move a guy if he needs to.
Was he 6'2"? I want to say
probably average height like that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not a small kid. I don't think.
No. Another guy that's not really a small kid that's on Calder watch this year, number 91, Kent Johnson. This kid, we've been raving about this kid for ages and ages.
It's interesting to see where that Calder watch kind of goes with him, because
the Athletic The Athletic ranked him 6th in their list.
And I think that's realistic simply because we just don't know where he slots in.
Mm-hmm.
Is he playing wing? Is he playing center? Is he playing bottom of the lineup? Is he playing top of the lineup?
Is he playing more 2-3?
There's just so much uncertainty. Like we know what Owen Power is going to do at Buffalo. He's going to be on that second pair behind Laine.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get a lot of minutes. They're going to rely on him a lot.
Yep.
He'll probably get a lot of time on the power play, maybe some time on the PK.
We know what Matty Beniers is going to do.
We know what Matty Beniers is going to do. He's going to play in the top half of that lineup. He's going to play at center. There's a lot to be excited about there.
There's number 1 overall pick Yuri Slafkovsky making the NHL straight out of camp.
Yeah, and he's a little bit of a different story because I feel like a lot of people kind of disagree with the decision, but again, it's a scenario where now that he's made the roster, people kind of have an idea of where they're going to play him and what his role is going to be.
Right.
That's the thing that is making me a little nervous about Kent Johnson, at least for this year.
Right. And I mean, you mentioned this in the preview, you mentioned this in the preview series that I think it was with the Leafs, right? The first 20, 25 games are where you can really experiment with things.
Yeah, 100%. You want to be able to experiment with things because that is important, especially for playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Leafs, it's important for them to experiment. With the Blue Jackets, it is important to experiment, but at the same time, you do want to solidify some things for beyond the year. The Maple Leafs are concerned about the playoffs.
Right.
Everybody knows they're going to make it. The Blue Jackets don't, so they have to prioritize and figure out what is best for them in terms of these experiments. In terms
of long term, because Johnny and Patty is going to be the thing.
But that's your long term investment.
But Boone is not in terms of that middle spot.
Yeah, you've invested in him long term as your captain. You haven't really invested in him long term on line 1.
Right.
It's just where he's at right now. But you've invested at least 4 years into Johnny Gaudreau and Patrik Laine.
Mm-hmm.
That is your line 1. That is top flight.
Yes.
So this is where it becomes interesting because beyond this year, is it Cole Sillinger?
Is it Kent?
Is it Kent? Is it someone who isn't with the team yet?
Right. Yeah. Is it could it be Liam? I don't think so.
I doubt it would be
at
Liam
this point
because they don't project as a first line center.
But he's also 4 or 5 years removed from his draft year, and
it might be someone you drafted in the second or third round. You never know, but that's the thing that I'm interested to see, at least in the first 2 months of the season, how this plays out and how things change. Do things kind of stay stagnant with this lineup, or does he put it in the torch blender and shuffle, shuffle?
Right. I think this year is definitely, last year was go, go, go with Lars. This year, Lars is going to try to improve the defense and throw things at the wall and see what sticks. He's going to do a little bit of both.
Yeah. It is important because, we talked about this process. You are taking a little bit of what Torch left, and you're adding your own twist to it. You're going to be, a north-south team offensively. And now over time, it's going to be taking what you did last year offensively and how do we adjust in other phases of the game to be better defensively so we're as balanced as possible.
Right.
And some of that is affected by lineup turnover. So it's interesting. I'm intrigued by that aspect of it.
Well, when you lose an elite two-way guy like Bjorkstrand, yes, I'm still salty.
Yeah. And when you have a young guy like Kent Johnson come in who wasn't a part of last year.
Right. And he's still brilliant two-way, player. For as young as he is, he's got the upside for that.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does. So yeah,
I'm very interested to
granted,
see.
if he's playing with Gaudreau and Laine, it would be interesting to see how much he cares about defense at that point. But
right,
that's another question for another
well, because
year.
we already talked about how Johnny's like the defensive guy on that line, but still, like Kent can pull his weight there if he's there.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what KJ can do, and I'm excited to see where he finishes, like in the overall Calder rankings by the end of the year.
Yeah,
because he is the guy in the Calder watch for Columbus.
Him and Marchenko. I know Marchenko's not a part of this roster, but if he gets up, and I think he'll get up sooner rather than later.
I think I heard that our buddy Bucket Hat Kyle has Marchenko finishing higher than KJ in the Calder race.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be. And I think
I can't remember if it was Kyle or somebody else, but it was like I remember Kyle talking about it.
I think it's because there's more of a natural fit for Marchenko on the wing in this lineup.
Right.
And than there is for KJ at any one specific position at this point. So I think that's the difference between the two. And then there's a little bit more of a maturity in Marchenko's game, but again, that's to be expected. He's older.
Yeah, Marchenko's what, 20?
I think he's 22.
No, I was gonna say he's not 28. What the hell am I thinking?
No, he's 22, I think.
Okay, and then KJ's only 19.
Yeah,
so that's fine.
You've been playing professional hockey. You've been playing over.
Right, and the K. You've been playing against men, and yes. Anyway, moving on. Number 93, Jake Voracek. You know what he provides?
Little defense, a lot of passing.
It's funny because he was the premier playmaker before Johnny got here.
Right.
And now he's kind of the 1B.
Yeah, and you can't pass up an opportunity to get a Johnny Gaudreau, but it's interesting how that worked out with Jake, where you trade away a fan favorite and Cam Atkinson to get this guy because you want a setup guy for Patrik Laine, and now suddenly you're not his setup guy anymore.
Right, and it's going to be interesting to see who they have. Like, obviously we've talked about he's going to play with Rosie more than likely,
and perhaps that gets a little bit of an uptick in the goals for Roslovic.
And speaking of Roslovic, he's last on the forward list, number 96.
Yeah,
good kid, hometown kid,
great shot. Really good off the rush, not great defensively, gives a little bit back in that area, but generally speaking, a talented hockey player. And
knew he wanted to be here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just can we revisit that trade? How many times are we going to revisit this trade throughout this show? Like throughout the show's run?
Laine and Roslovic for Dupuis a third.
Because we knew Laine wanted out of Winnipeg, and Roslovic wanted out and could have gone anywhere, but he was like, "No, I want to go home."
Yeah, that worked out well.
It's nice that he just said he wanted to go home.
Yeah, he wanted to stay home. This is a big year. I know it's not a contract year, but I think it's a big identity year for Roslovic to see what his role is.
Yes.
And I think it's, and we talked about Boone Jenner is your number one center, and he fills his role well, considering the talents he's had around him. Played well with Voracek and Laine last year. And
now we'll see what he does with Johnny.
Yeah, did the things offensively you wanted to see. What I want to see from Roslovic, I'm not looking for X amount of goals, X amount of assists, X amount of points.
Right.
I want to see him push for that number one center spot.
Ooh, yes. Yes, actually, that's a good point.
Because if you can get him on that top line, and if he can earn his minutes there, I think that makes you a better team. Because Jenner works well with Voracek. So, he doesn't have to be your number one guy working with Laine and Gaudreau.
Right.
Offensively, I think that gives you an edge. having Roslovic there over Jenner, just because there's more foot speed and there's a better shot. He's not driving to the crease the way that Jenner does, or deflecting pucks the way he does, but it gives you a little bit more angles and different things that you can do.
Johnny has more passing options.
Yeah. Just food for thought on that.
And it's not to say that Johnny's going to do nothing but pass.
No, the guy could score. I mean,
he scored 40 goals last year. What are you going to say?
Yeah.
So
he
it's
scored
like
40 goals last year, and it's the part of his game that really nobody talks about.